welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're nearing the end of August now, beginning of September, and I've actually got my first ferreting trip planned, which will be in 2 weeks time, I believe. New bit of ground. It's just on a horse yard, and it's pretty much a bank full of rabbits that the lady wants clearing. So I thought it would be a great way just to ease us back into things. And for the first day out of the season, there's no cover there. It's not like a hedge, it's just a bank that they've stripped all the nettles and stuff like that back. So easy access. But what I thought I'd do in today's video is just show you some of the gear that I use when I'm ferreting and how I would use it and why. So yeah, I think we'll start off with obviously the easiest thing apart from the ferrets. Most people will use purse nets, and this one's a little bit tangled. I need to go through my purse nets, but standard 3 foot 6 inch purse net with just a little homemade wooden hazel peg. And as you can see, this one happens to be in a lovely bright pink. I made this myself. I made all my nets myself. I actually have a video about that net making. If you go back through the videos, you'll see it. Yeah, they're pretty easy to make. You know, it's a good way to spend your summer making a few of these, and if you make enough to sell them, but yeah, I don't tend to use purse nets so much anymore now. They are good, but for the type of warrens I do, most of the warrens are big hedgerow warrens. You're talking about 100+ holes. If I was purse netting, it would take us all day to, you know, cover a bloody warren and uncover them. At the end of the day, pick all these up. I also don't like these in the fact that the ferrets knock them a lot, especially if they're wearing locator collars like these. The locator collars get stuck in the meshes, and you're forever going about and messing around and putting nets right and stuff like that. And you know, if they get caught on anything, you know, even like a piece of bramble or something, they fail to purse and your rabbit's gone. All very well if you've got a dog there, but also the dogs tend to knock them when they're walking on the warrens. You know, one gets caught on their foot, or when they stick their head down the hole to mark, or whatever. You know, they'll get displaced, and then you've got to mess around. And it's never a good thing you walking on the warren. The more you walk on a warren, the more noise and vibration the rabbits hear, the less likely you are to have a clean bolt anyway. So I tend not to use them now, mainly for the reason a lot of purse nets and purse net management on a warren frustrates me, because I feel it wastes time, but also just the time it takes to set and pick them up again. It just seems like wasted time for me, the big warrens that I cover as well. But you know, for a beginner, if you're doing small warrens as well, you know, I'd recommend getting, you know, maybe, well, I mean, it depends how bigger warrens you're doing. If you're just doing sort of 5 to 10 hole warrens, you know, buy 20 of these. Are cheap enough, or make them yourself. You know, you can fit 20 in a little game bag, or 50 even, you know, and they're relatively light to carry. So yeah, what I tend to use now, if I just get the dog out of the way, is, you've seen this on my other videos before anyway, I tend to use these quick set long net systems. This is a 50 yard. I've also got a little 5 yard stop net in the basket as well. These are a lot quicker to use than your traditional long nets, because they're all set up. The poles are already permanently set on them. They're very, very quick to, as the name says, quick set. You just throw the basket round your front, and first pole in, just walk backwards. The basket feeds, the net feeds out of the basket. But what I like the quick set is not only the speed it takes to set and put them away again. For my type of ferreting, for the ferreting that we do, and I'm sure if you've watched my videos before, you've seen the methods we use. What we tend to do is, on big hedgerows or bigger warrens, we'll long net both sides of the hedge. We have the dogs in the middle, so you really get the best of both worlds. You know, we haven't really got the advantage of being able to bolt to dogs, because we have very little open ground and open warrens here. So what we do is we have the dogs in the middle, and sometimes these long nets are set sort of like 20 yards away from, you know, out from where the rabbits are actually bolting. So a lot of the times the dogs will catch the rabbits before they hit the net. But the dogs along with this net certainly do help the rabbits into the net as well. What I found a lot of the time with big hedgerows is when you set a long net, you without a dog you'll catch very, very few in the long nets anyway, because what rabbits will always do is run up a hedgerow instead of out of a hedgerow. If the dogs are in the hedgerow, they'll tend to push the rabbits out into the nets, or they'll catch them themselves. What is more effective sometimes is just stop netting each end of the hedge, because a lot of the time the rabbits will just run all the way up the hedge, even with a dog behind them, and a lot of the time, you know, we catch more in the stop nets than we actually do in the long nets. But for us, that's a method that works for us the best. It's the quickest, and when you've got to move from warren to warren very quickly, you know, you'll find that is more efficient than picking 100 of these up, you know, and rolling them, because you've got to roll them all up and, you know, store them back in the bag correctly. So it's a lot faster. Once a rabbit bolts, you don't have to worry about walking on the warren and setting a new one of these, or, you know, getting it, retrieving this with a rabbit in it. You've just got to go to where the long net is, or the dog will bring it out to you. So net wise, that's what we like to use, and that's why we like to use it. So I'm going to talk about spades, and I see a lot of people now who use these small miniature spades, sort of like them things like that, the type you get from garden centres and stuff, and even like rabbiting pages that sell gear, they sort of chuck these spades out, and they're just no bloody good. They're too small. You know, they sell them in garden centres. They're for digging up your flower beds and stuff like that. They won't last a day's ferreting, you know. And I've seen people even using these, and these things are bloody useless, honestly. Unless you're poo picking your garden, which is what I use that for, chuck it away. They're no good. If you have to get a smaller spade, I would recommend one of these military shovels. They're small, but they've got nearly a full-size head on them, and they've just got a small, you know, T-bar style handle, and these are good. I've used this quite a bit, but still not as good as a full-size spade. At a pinch, I'll take this if I'm doing a lot of walking on the day, because it's light, but I've still got the advantage of that decent size shovel head on it. But my normal spade is this, and it's a nice full-length spade. It's quite heavy, but if I'm honest, I would rather carry a extra bit of weight for, you know, a better tool. I've had this probably 15 years, maybe a little bit more, and okay, it wasn't cheap. It cost me about 40 quid, but it's got a metal handle. You're not going to break this. You're never going to break this. It's just a good spade, you know, for heavy digging. Okay, a lot of the digs I do, it's quite hard soil here, so it's chalk and flint soil. But again, if I use one of them mini spades, I've used them before, I break them. You know, they don't last a couple of outings before they're broke. And because the soil's quite hard here, you need a decent spade that you can really sort of put some leverage on. A lot of the digs here are between a foot and probably the deepest 5. The exception of that, I have got a place that's pretty sandy, and I've had a 6-7 foot dig there, but as you know, sandy soil's easy digging. But yeah, I always prefer a bigger spade, a proper spade like that. And it's something I won't cheap out on or skimp on, because there's nothing worse than having one break on you in the middle of a dig. But talking of spades, let's go to the thing that is associated with them, and that is your ferret locator. So I've always used Mark 1s. Actually, that's a lie. I did have a Mark III. I didn't like it, didn't get on with it. I've always used these but since then I've always used these Mark 1s. Probably had this box close to 20 years, I'd imagine. This is a 15-foot one. Now I've got, I think, 5 collars. Let's have a look. So that's the 15-foot collar. That was slightly longer. It takes 2 little batteries. And then you have the original 8-foot collars. So the 15-foot and 8-foot box, pretty identical, they're the same, just one goes 15, one goes to 8. I mainly use the 8-foot box, to be honest. I find that more than adequate for a day's ferreting. As I said, you know, probably deepest is 5 foot, but the majority of digs are between 1 and 3 that we do, so 8 foot is more than adequate. What I do like to do on my collars, if you can hear that, is I put little bells on them. I find when we're doing hedgerow ferreting and stuff, even with a light coloured ferret, sometimes it's hard to see them in heavy cover, so that little jingle, that you'd be surprised how well you hear that in cover, and it just lets you know sort of the location with your ferrets. I also think that going through a warren, you know, that gives a rabbit an advance warning of what's coming. And the dog's whining, shush. So yeah, with location gear, you can get Mark III's. They've actually stopped making them now. You can still pick them up second hand, but newer ones you can't get them. They've discontinued them. Same as these original Mark 1s. These have been discontinued for a number of years now, when they brought out the Mark III's. But again, you can buy these second hand. But there is a fella called Graham Leach who developed his own version of the Mark 1, and it is exactly the same as the original, but they all come in these orange boxes instead of the grey. This is an 8-foot one, and this is the collar for it, and it's slightly, ever so slightly bulkier than the original 8-foot. But the beauty with these is this box will pick up the old collars, and the old box will pick up the new collars, so you can use them together. If you've got an old box and you wanted new collars, contact him. He is on Facebook. I believe his page is Mark 1 Replicas. He doesn't do a 15-foot. He did develop one, but I don't think he could get it right. I don't think he could actually get it consistently located to 15. So I believe he's made a 10-foot. So he's got an 8-foot and a 10-foot. And to be honest, they're pretty well priced. I think it's, you know, a couple £100 for one of these with a couple of collars. Separately, don't quote me on this, but I believe the collars on their own are about 42, 43 quid. I believe either you can buy them on Facebook or on eBay. I don't know what his eBay name is, but either Graham Leach on Facebook or Mark 1 Replicas, he's got a page. Go there. They are good. I've used that. I've used this new one now for 2-3 years, and it's just as good as the original. I do actually like the box because of the colour. I'm terrible for losing stuff, and you know, as you can see, these grey ones in comparison, if you put that down, you know, this one's going to be easier to see. But yeah, I do like it, and as with the Mark 1, it is spot on. Now, anyone who's new to ferreting, and you go on like all these ferreting pages to get advice and stuff, you'll hear a lot of people say that they don't use locator collars, or locators in general. They don't like them, or they've never had a ferret that kills down. That's just, honestly, it's just utter rubbish. I've always used them because I've always had ferrets that do kill down. It's just a fact of ferreting. At the end of the day, a ferret really has no concept of the job that you want it to do. It doesn't go down a rabbit warren and think, I'm going to bolt all these rabbits and that's my job. The only thing a ferret ever goes down a warren to do is catch and kill a rabbit. The rabbits just bolt as a natural thing. You know, they're running away from a predator. They bolt into our nets. It works for us. The ferret has no concept of that. So these are really important. I wouldn't go out ferreting without one. You're going to end up losing ferrets, and you know, yeah, just for the safety and ethical wise of keeping ferrets, just stick a locator collar on them, you know. And I've known ferrets get stuck behind a rabbit, and you know, I don't know why anyone would want to sit and wait for a ferret without a locator collar on for an hour, when probably most of the time it'd take you 5 minutes or under to actually dig it, and you get the rabbit. So, you know, that's a bonus in itself for me. Obviously you're going to need something to carry a ferret in, and I'd recommend a well-made box. This is a really old one, so it's quite tatty. Recommend a well-made box, bow back, so it's comfortable to carry. This is a single. You can get these in all sizes, from single like this to double to treble to quadruple, and that really just depends how many ferrets you're taking out in the field. Saying this is a single box, it does fit 2 ferrets in this comfortably enough. But obviously if you've got ferrets on the bigger end of the scale, you know, a double box or a treble, they'll all have separate compartments that you can put 1 ferret in each. So yeah, other than that, you can, if I can see where I've put it, and I can't, don't know where that's gone. I did have it out. You can get ferret bags. There was one that I have got that's it's a really noisy crow. I have got one that's called the mooching bag or moocher's bag. It's got 3 compartments in it, one for like purse nets, one for the dead rabbits, and the front compartment is vented for ferrets. They're okay, they're all right if you're going on a little walk with a dog or whatever. They're fine, but I wouldn't use it all the time. The main reason for that would be basically if you fall over and that bag's sitting behind you and you fall on your ass, well, you've got to squash a ferret. Also, it's just probably not very comfortable for them to be rolled around in a bag as you're walking. When you put that bag on the floor to, you know, set the nets or whatever, it's just not very comfortable. A good solid box is going to be the best bet. Yes, it's more bulky, but you know, I think these mooching bags are more designed for the you know, for the poacher. If you know, going somewhere you're not meant to be and you can stick it under your jacket and, you know, just look like you're walking the dog, then yeah. So this was the bag that I was talking about. It's quite a big bag, and this is the front vented pocket. To be honest, you could probably put 2 ferrets in this, but I will show you what I use it for, and that's just I use it as a little purse net bag. I just use it as a bag for when I'm out, like I've got a rabbit stringer in. A lot of the time I'll just use this as a lamping bag or out ferreting, because, you know, this can fit, God, you can probably put 50 purse nets in this, and that is pretty much what I use it for, a little purse net bag, or when I'm lamping to stick the rabbits in. Yeah, I don't really rate it for carrying ferrets in, to be honest. I have done it. It's not great. I'd prefer the box, you know. You know, I've got permission. I don't need really to mooch about and find the odd rabbit to kick up for the dog. I can, you know, a lot of my permissions I can drive pretty much down the hedge on ferreting, so a bit of extra weight doesn't bother me. But if that's what you're into, you know, you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, to be honest, that's all the gear you need. But I mean, if you wanted to obviously carry your rabbits, you can get these rabbit stringers. I actually made this one, probably not made it very well. My plaiting isn't great, and that's just all electric tape. But you know, this holds 12 rabbits. I think I made a couple of these. But yeah, for like lamping or ferreting, it's handy to, you know, stick it around your neck or whatever and have all the rabbits dangling, or hang them from a tree. You know, they're cheap enough, you know, you can get them for like £6 each or whatever. But yeah, apart from that, what I've shown you here is really all the gear I use. The only thing I haven't shown you actually is a probe, which, you know, goes along with the shovels. As you're digging down, it's just like a T-bar, a metal bar, T-bar handle, and it's usually blunted at the end, and you just put that down, and you can feel how far you've got before you break through. Don't actually know where my probe is, probably left it in a hedgerow, know me. But yeah, that's all. Apart from the ferrets and a dog, if you've got a dog, that's all you really need. But you know, nets aside and stuff like that, and you know, I can use a dog to catch rabbits, but the most important piece of gear for me would be these. I couldn't stress that enough. I really don't think you should go into ferreting without these. You know, I think move with the times, and that's probably that, and the quick set long net is probably going to be your most expensive buy out of all of that. Like I say, the long net is probably, at a guess, 150 quid maybe. Don't quote me on that. I would go to, if I was to recommend anyone for nets, it would be Les Nelson. That's who I got mine off of. He does the best quick sets available, and he does them in all sorts. You can get 100 yarders, 70 yards, you can get a 50 yard like I've got, or you can get a 50 yarder split into two 25s. He'll do, you know, pretty much whatever you want. So if you're in the market for a long net, tap Les up. I believe his page is called Nelson's Net Loft. He does boxes as well, the ferret boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, Les Nelson for nets, Graham Leach for locators. I can't remember where I got the spade from. I think I bought it from a game fair. So, but you know, if you want a decent spade, I would recommend going on to buying a bulldog spade. They do a rabbiting spade actually, and they're pretty bomb-proof spades. Shush, stop whining at me. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. I will be back in a couple of weeks with a video for you. We're out ferreting on the 7th, on the Saturday, and Bryn, please, I'm trying to do my video here. We're out on the 7th on that new bit of ground, so I'm hoping the video will be out on the 8th. There shouldn't be much editing to do. Probably not going to be a big day. It's only just a bank of rabbits to shift, so I'm hoping for an easy day. I'll be happy with half a dozen, to be honest. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, thank you for watching, and give the video a thumbs up, because that's gonna, you know, that helps bump the video up. Stay tuned. As I said, there's loads more to come. I contacted all my farmers the other day. I've got an absolute ton to start. I'm going to try and get some more lamping film this year. Hopefully. It is difficult. Didn't have much lamping done last year actually, just because of the crappy weather. We didn't seem to have that much wind and rough weather. All we had was still light nights, which if you know your lurchers and you're into that, you'll know is just absolutely rubbish for it. So, but yes, you'll be seeing me in the next couple of weeks anyway for a proper video, not me just rambling on like these last few videos have been. If you don't like that, I apologise. I'm just trying to keep the channel going, you know, until the action starts. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me anyway.